Hello there, ladies and gentlemen! With the StarForce Legacy Collection approaching, it's the first time in decades that the series has become relevant in some way. Knowing that, I figured it would be a good idea to make some sort of introduction video to showcase what makes this game special to those who have never played them or seen them before. I am a huge fan of this trilogy, but I understand that even long-time Mega Man fans could be a little confused, since, after all, it's a huge departure from any other branch of the series, at least thematically. So, in the next few minutes, I'm gonna do my best to familiarize all of you with Mega Man StarForce. Don't worry though, this video is spoiler-free, so if you're looking forward to playing them, you can keep watching without worries. That said, get comfy, because I'm about to dive in. Let's begin with the most frequent question I've seen floating around. Do you need to play something else beforehand to get into StarForce? The answer is no. StarForce is easily the most detached and distinct sub-series in the Mega Man franchise, to the point where it could drop the Mega Man title and still exist as a game of its own. That means you can jump in without any prior knowledge about the series and still enjoy your time. On the same topic, StarForce takes place at the tail end of the Battle Network timeline. However, the story is completely independent from those games, so you won't miss anything beyond a few Easter eggs and cameos. Long story short, feel free to try StarForce 1 without having to worry about anything else. Speaking of, I wanted to keep this spoiler-free because I believe the narrative is one of the big selling points of the series. Despite its art style and young cast of characters, StarForce takes itself seriously. I won't touch on it too much, so you can see things for yourselves, but to give you an appetizer, these games go a little deeper than what it might seem. This sub-series takes place in a world where communication has evolved immensely thanks to usage of EM waves. Daily life has changed, and everyone is now connected through transers, small devices similar to a smartphone, except way cooler. Usage of this technology has led society to morph their ways of interacting with others, thanks to brother bands. These are digital bonds that people can create, being similar to an oath, since the key to forming one is to tell each other your deepest secret. Here's where our protagonist duo makes the difference. Geostellar is a 5th grader who became a shut-in after the sudden loss of his father. But due to the abrupt way in which he meets Omegaxes, an extraterrestrial from Planet FM, both characters will be forced to cooperate in order to stop an incoming alien invasion. These two are like both sides of the same coin. They are characters who have a rough time communicating with others, who live in a world where it's required to do so. That premise is not exclusive to the main duo, because the rest of the cast are related to this concept in one way or another. StarForce is one of those games that will resonate with you differently depending on your age and personal life. So if all of that sounded interesting, then I have no doubts you'll be hooked. But the social aspect doesn't apply to just the story, it's essential to the gameplay. Yet before we get into that, let me give you the basics. So, StarForce's gameplay loop is based around a combination of card collection and a unique mixture of turn-based and action RPG mechanics. I know it might sound a little weird when put together, but let me explain. Every area in the game has two versions, so to speak. As Geostellar, you'll be exploring the real world, searching for clues and new areas to investigate. While as Mega Man, you'll enter the Wave world, which is where battles will take place. The game will often ask you to interact with both worlds to progress, even if the actual dungeons, which are referred to as cyberspaces, are mostly inside the Wave world. With each game, the barrier between these two sides gets thinner and thinner, but worry not, StarForce 1 makes things simple enough. Now, as I mentioned before, it's inside the Wave world that you'll have to fight enemies to make progress. Battles in StarForce take place inside a 3x6 grid, with the camera placed behind Geo's back. While on that grid, you can move sideways, lock onto faraway enemies to attack them at melee range, block attacks with a shield, or fire the Mega Buster. But the defining feature of this battle system are the battle cards. Every one of these basically acts as a special move that can be used once per battle. At the start of each fight, you'll have the chance to choose between 6 of them, those being randomly selected among a deck of 30 cards. Once you're ready, the battle will begin and both Geo and the enemies will start moving in real time. Then, after a few seconds, this green gauge at the side of the screen will fill up, giving you the chance to stop the battle once again and select more cards. This loop of selecting cards, fighting, and then coming back to the custom screen is what the game treats as a full turn. Why is this important? Well, the game wants you to clear battles as quickly as possible, because the better you do, the higher your busting level will be. Better scores means better rewards, but most importantly, a high enough level will award you with a new battle card that mimics the attack of one of the enemies you've defeated. Those cards can then be added to your deck so you can use them in battle. While battle cards can only be drawn once per fight, they have a limited uses, so you are completely free to experiment with different decks and strategies as you make progress through the game. And trust me, there's a lot of these cards in each game, so you have a lot of freedom to design different ways to approach every battle. The first entry has the lowest battle card count, and that's still 185 different cards to collect. Thus, I advise you to play around with them. That way, I'm sure you'll figure out your playstyle. Okay, now that you got the fundamentals of StarForce, I wanna go back to what I said about connections being crucial to the story and the gameplay. And that is because these three games put a lot of emphasis on multiplayer. Because remember, they were originally released on the DS, the first Nintendo console with built-in online functions. Yeah, even back then, you could connect and trade cards with players all around the world, and the Legacy Collection is bringing those capabilities back to full power. But unlike Battle Network, where fighting other players was the main attraction of this multiplayer aspect, battles in StarForce are not the only way you can interact with other players. Remember those brother bands I brought up earlier? Well, aside from in-game characters, you can register other players as brothers. This is not only a cool way to add friends to your game, but it also brings multiple benefits in battles. Stuff like a MegaMan's stats being increased passively, or even the power to summon some of your friends' own cards. And, in StarForce 2 and 3, having more brothers will increase your link power, which opens up the chance to equip some special abilities to our blue duo. To me, these mechanics make a massive difference compared to other games that involve trading and collecting with others. Because even if you don't really enjoy the competitiveness of PvP battles, you can still make use of the multiplayer features and get something meaningful out of it. And trust me, you're gonna want to use them because multiplayer interacts with a different mechanic I've been waiting to tell you about. The special power that gives this series its title is designed around the idea of brother bands. After a specific point of the main story, Geo will gain the ability to activate StarForce and morph into one of three different forms. The transformation you'll obtain depends on which version of the game you're playing. So, to gain access to the other StarForce forms, you have to register a brother from that specific version of the game. In the later entries of the trilogy, having brothers from the opposite version allows you to do some really crazy stuff, like fusing 2 or more forms. But it's in StarForce 1 where its impact is the most noticeable. Having the chance to activate any of the 3 StarForce forms makes the game a lot more fun, because not only does it give you more options to approach every battle, but it vastly improves on one of the bigger issues around this mechanic. That being how quickly you could get bored of just using one form for your entire playthrough. I won't defend that, it's definitely a flaw with the first game, but since online is coming back, I really recommend you to go out there and try to socialize with other players. It really makes that much of a difference. If you're interested in some of the intricacies of Geo's forms and all, let me know in the comments and I'll gladly make you a tutorial about all of them. But for now, what you need to know is the more you interact with others, the stronger MegaMan can become. And that leads me to the final part of this video, which is why I bothered making it in the first place. Truth is, MegaMan StarForce wasn't a successful game series for a variety of reasons. Back then, Capcom's old mascot was getting a lot of entries within very short windows of time. Every year you'd see a bunch of new releases for every single one of its branches, and that led to a feeling of burnout among fans, and especially critics. Knowing that, you can imagine that after 6 Battle Network entries, people were not kind to its successor. Not only did many fans reject these games, but the press dragged them through the mud, often drawing comparisons to previous Mega Man releases. But that was almost 20 years ago. Since then, the Mega Man series has seen a small resurgence over time, thanks to the many times the character has appeared in other games as a cameo, and especially due to the presence of the Legacy Collections. Thus, with StarForce Legacy Collection presented itself as the definitive way to enjoy these games, it's the perfect time to give these 3 games another chance. As a fan of the trilogy, I can definitely tell you that the combination of story, gameplay and multiplayer makes for some of the most unique experiences you'll ever see in a video game. There really isn't anything like StarForce out there. Even 2 decades later, no other developers have approached RPG battles this way. That isn't to say these games are perfect. No, they all show their age in various ways, like the presence of random encounters and the many times you're forced to use touch controls. Thankfully, the collection is going to make an effort to improve on those aspects, so don't worry too much about it. In fact, before moving on, since we have more news about it, I want to update you on the stuff I mentioned on my COD content video. I am positively surprised, because all of the Japanese content will be restored on the Legacy Collection. That includes the Lunar Nights content, event cards, wave scanner functionalities, wave command, profiles, and all of StarForce 3's secret mechanics. They are all finally available for everyone. Along with it, we have very comfortable changes like being able to activate Cipher Mail and Wave Command from a menu instead of having to input codes. To newcomers, this won't make any sense, but to put it into simple words, these are functions that were limited to specific regions back then. Legacy Collection is bringing this, among many other quality of life changes, to the games featured on it. So, seriously, there has never been a better time to get into these games than now. And, well, I think that is all for this short beginner's guide. I tried my best to avoid getting into the more complex aspects of these games, for the sake of clarity, so I hope you came out of this video with a better picture of why the StarForce series has kept its fanbase even after so many years. Once the collection comes out, you'll surely see me completing all of these games live, among some other forms of content in case you're interested. But for now, that's all I can say. My name is BurnCrowSP, and thank you for watching.